There's a saying in the business community that a great idea with the average team is bound to fail, whereas an average idea with a great team is highly likely to succeed. Because the team decides how dynamic you're going to be, how you can move when there's difficulty, and there's a pandemic hits or a demonetization happens or some policy changes in the government, how you're going to pivot through. That's what a team does. So you can't afford to have a low skill, low will, low energy kind of a team. You need to have stellar maharathis, as I call it, kind of teams. Now, how do you get them? You look everywhere possible. You look at your college alumni list, you look online, you look at your friends of friends, you talk to, people in networking events, go wherever you have to go, do whatever you have to do. But you need the best possible team members who can take on 2 or 3 activities or tasks and take them head on, who don't look at their watch when they're working. They're passionate about the goal. They're passionate about making that customer smile and giving that experience to the customers, right? Those are the kinds of initial level people you come up with. But who are they? What are the qualities? Well, certainly they have to be high skilled in whatever they do, right? If they're in marketing or if they're in coding, if they're in accounting, they should be well skilled. But also important is they should be motivated by the vision that you see, not motivated by the salary, because you can't give them salary or very little salary, right? But the motivation should be, wow, if I make this happen, it will drastically change the lives of so many people. It'll make so many, customers smile with delight. It'll save them time. It'll save the environment. Whatever the value proposition of your business is, that should motivate these initial team members. And they could be your co-founders or salaried employees, but the initial team members. And they generally tend to be generalists, not specialists. Initially, you have jack of all trades, street smart people who understand a little bit of something, and they'll YouTube it, they'll Google it, and they'll figure it out. And they will build something that sells. It's not the best thing, but it is good enough to get out there and generate revenue. And as you build up, you realize that their skills are no more relevant to you, because you are going at a level where you're more sophisticated audience, you're more commercially viable, you're becoming a brand, and you're going to scale up. And at that point, you need specialists. And that's when specialists take over. And the generalists sometimes even come below those specialists. Now, these are the people who started the company, yet they are not the ones who scale up the company. That's a whole different group of people who come from big corporates, and they come on board with structures in place, and they come on board with systems in place, and they work at a different level. But those are not the people you start your business with. If you start your business with a VP of sales or a VP of engineering from Amazon or LinkedIn or a Google, you will be absolutely in hell, because they're used to so much structure, and a startup doesn't have structure. A startup, even the founders don't know what you're doing. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? So in that situation, big corporate folks don't survive. They try to put in their weight of, I know so much. I have been in the corporate for so many years. I've been in Reliance. I've been in Amazon, right? They'll throw their weight around. So they're not the right people to start with, but they are the ones who scale up your business. And when you're thinking about teams, you need to understand that there is going to be disagreements, right? As I have already made a video you might have seen about forming, storming, norming, and performing, right? Initially you're forming, nobody knows what's happening. Then everybody thinks nobody knows what they're doing. Let me tell them what to do. They're storming and fighting. Then you as a leader put them in their place and put the KPIs. They know what they're doing. They're in charge of their departments. There is forming. And when they do that well, there's performing, right? That happens at the beginning. That happens also at the scale-up stage, because there's frustration among the initial founding team that, oh, these new guys are coming in. They're getting more responsibility. They're getting more salary, and we are getting in the back seat, because that's how it works. That's what the skill and strength of these people are utilized at different stages of the business. Now, of course, the initial founders get more, or the founding team get more equity than the future ones. Having said that, there is going to be the discrepancy. And as a founder, as an entrepreneur, you will have to deal with that issue wisely, sensitively and make sure that not everybody will be happy, but make sure that the damage is minimized to the degree possible, right? Another thing about teams is that you will realize that you're not an industrial psychologist that you can hire the perfect team. Even industrial psychologists fail at that. So you will make mistakes with hiring, and there are people who are going to be watching Netflix or talking to their girlfriend or boyfriend or fidgeting on the WhatsApp during work hours. And, in your joining letter itself, there should be these rules spelled out: when they can work, when they can have fun. And if they are not, what they're supposed to do, then hire slow, fire fast. That's the strategy I always go with. Hire slow, take your time hiring, number of levels of interviews you want to do, background search, do whatever it takes to get the best people on board. But if you made a mistake and they lied to you on the resume, or they lied to you in the interview, and they don't seem to be who they are, fire them, right? If they're not meeting the KPIs for 2 months in a row, fire them. Cancer is not good. Cancer only spreads. One person doesn't do his job and still gets a salary. Other people will be like, hey, he doesn't do his job, he gets a salary. Why should I? I'll also talk to my friends. I'll also do WhatsApping and chit-chatting during work hours. And before you know, your work environment becomes completely toxic. So, dealing with teams, dealing with your management team, your outsourced team, your executive team, it is important you understand these principles. Get people on board who are Maharathis, high skill, high will, throughout your business career. But at the very beginning, get generalists. At the scale up stage, get specialists, right? And do the transition. Whenever there's a storming, understand, unless you take them to norming and performing, your business might die at the storming stage. So it's important as a founder, you keep your eyes on people's, conversations, corporate politics, what is happening, who's complaining, who's upset, who's not, who's talking behind your back. You should be aware of all of that so that you can take them from point A to point B so your company performs. Don't try to be the popular boss. Try to be the effective boss, the effective leader who serves the company, because the company survives, you survive. If you survive, they survive. Your team survives. But if you try to be Jesus Christ or the Savior, if you try to be Buddha, before you know, your company will fumble and fall, you will be in trouble, and they'll call you a fool for not being able to manage it properly. Wish you all the best. If you need help, I'm here for you.